it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and look at the cute card I have for you today. And you know why I know it's a cute card? Because look, I found it right here on page 52 of my annual catalog. So if you don't know, the annual catalog is a great idea book. There are so many card ideas in the annual catalog that you never want to throw this away. You can always use this and flip to the stamps that you have, and then you can just case cards and it does all the work for you. Because you betcha, look how cute this card is. The same stamp set, the same dies, or I should say the same bundle. And then it uses this little bunny here from the Nature's Beauty stamp set. But there you go. So don't ever get rid of your catalogs. They're always a great idea, or have tons of ideas in them. So let me show you how I made this card. Well, let's introduce you to the bundle first. So it's the Inspired Thoughts bundle. The stamp set looks like this. It's just a bunch of words. And then the dies look like this. And we're going to use most of these dies today. So let's start there. We'll do some die cutting. I have some crumb cake here for the trees. I have some garden green here for the grass down here. I have some So Saffron for these cute little flowers. And then I needed a shape because you can see the dies don't have anything to cut out this greeting. So I thought about this die, the message dies. And this one looks like this. It has a stamp set that matches, that looks like this. And you can cut out all those, whoops, I think it goes this way, all those messages at the same time. And then you just have a bunch of them. Or you can do like I did here and just cut them all out in Whisper White. Nope, that's basic white. We don't have Whisper White anymore. And then I just keep them in the sleeve of my die set. And you can pull out what you need. For example, like this one here, well, maybe I can get to it, is what I used on my sample card. So we'll just be using that one again. Or you can just take a scrap of paper like this and just cut out the die you need. The other cool thing about this is you can take that stamp set and place the die over it to see which one you need for which sayings, which is kind of cool. You have all these different ones, and that's the message die. So we're just gonna grab that one that I used before, and we've got that done. And then the last thing I have for die cutting is I have a piece of vellum, and we're going to use this to either, I don't know if you'd call it a mask or if you'd call it a stencil, but we're going to use this to do the background of our card here. So let's go ahead and just start die cutting. Get my die cut machine. Well, first let's get our platforms. And I have the number 1, the number 2, and I'm going to turn them this way. And then I have my cutting plate, the number 3, the one that's all cut up. I'm going to lay that down first. And then my piece of crumb cake. Now for this card, you can see, maybe you can't see because I moved it out of the way, that we only need 3 of those 4 trees that's on this one huge die. So I'm going to kind of just partially die cut and take that last tree off the edge. It'll just save us a little bit of trim time when it comes down to trim those dies apart. So let me set that aside, bring in my machine. This is Stampin' Up's Cut and Emboss, Die Cut and Emboss, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I don't know the exact name, but I do love him. I think he's like he's a good machine. I call him my buddy. Okay, so we got that cut out, right? Now we have our trees. I'll just set that aside. Bring in that So Saffron. And I'm going to just take the 2 larger pieces. This can also be some like greenery for the top of the tree. But out of that die set there, I'm going to just take, well, it's there somewhere, those 2 larger pieces and run those through with the So Saffron. Got those all cut here. Let me get the little pieces off my plate. And then we're going to take that garden green. And now I know my garden green is 4 inches across. I don't know how long it is this way. It doesn't matter. We're going to cut it about in half. And I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than I want it. And then that way I can cut it down to the size that I need after I've put it on my card. So I'm going to just lay it about in the middle and cut that piece. And then using that same die, so now we have those 2 pieces, using that same die and a piece of vellum, and this is just a half a sheet of vellum. I wanted it kind of big. I thought that might help my hands stay a little bit cleaner as I'm masking, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we go to do the front of our card. And the half sheet of vellum, I'm going to do it about in the center of that one too. Of course, if you had a smaller scrap piece of vellum, you could use smaller. It doesn't really matter. Okay, I think that's all of our die cutting. Let me put the big boy away here and bring all those pieces in. So the first thing I'm going to start is with my vellum. And I have maybe I do, here it is, a permanent marker. And I'm going to just write on here, front. And it might not be that important that you know which is the front or the back, and really I would do it to both of them, but we're just going to work with this one today. So I know on the back side now, I'm going to take some liquid glue, and Tombow liquid glue that I sell in my online store dries sticky. So I'm going to just take a little bit of that liquid glue toward the edge that I die cut. This is a lot of glue. I probably don't need that much, like that. And then I'm gonna let me bring my silicone mat so I don't get any glue on my work surface. Oh, and that side's dirty. Let's go this side. And I'm gonna just kind of rub that around and get it really thin, mainly so it dries quickly. But I also want it to dry like a Post-it note. So we'll set that aside and I'll show you. We're going to use that in a few minutes. But let's go ahead and get our die cut pieces ready and do a little bit of stamping and coloring and let that dry. Okay, so with those little, I'm going to bring in this too. This is my die brush. I took an old paper pumpkin box and I put my little foam mat in there, and I have my, my brush. There it goes. I thought I was going to do the whole thing. I'm going to just put my brush on my take a pick tool and then get those little pieces out of my die with my die brush. I think it's just a little bit faster. And then the box catches all those little pieces and parts so you don't have a huge mess, especially when it comes to this tree here. There we go. I'll try to get all those little pieces out of my tree. Might have to use the piercing. Whoop, I got the wrong end. Had the palette, there we go. Turn that around and poke all those little pieces out of that tree. Paper pumpkin box that holds all my mess. Of the kits collection that has the same kind of boxes, so if you wouldn't have to have a paper pumpkin box, you could have just a kit box. But there we go. Now I got one more. I got all those little pieces out of there. We'll set that aside. Hardly any mess. Now we were gonna stamp and color again. So I have the dark So Saffron blend here, and with the bullet tip, I'm gonna just color those little parts that have a little bit of die cut on them. And it won't take long. Let me just put some color on here. Flowers, a little bit of depth and character, and makes them really cute. You know, if you're a demonstrator, Stampin' Up! Provides you a list of supplies of all the samples in the catalog. So if you need help finding that, be sure and let me know. But it's in the print lab, and you, as a demonstrator, they do provide you with all of the list of supplies with all the samples. And I'm trying to follow along what Stampin' Up! Said to make their card just like they did, because it was so cute in the catalog there. Okay, so there we have that. Let's go ahead and stamp. You see what I did? Let's go ahead and stamp our words, and I'm just going to use Memento black ink. If I can find that tag. Now I have so much stuff on my desk. Where did the little tag go? We have our grass. Let me put my dies away and stuff so we can... Oh, here, look, it's right here. The whole time it was sitting right there. Embarrassing. Okay, here's my little tag. I have that with Heartfelt Sympathy. Let me practice one time. Make sure, yep, looks good. And we'll stamp it right down there. There we go. And then for the inside of a card, now I just have a piece of thick Whisper White like a card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And while we're stamping, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the inside of that. And here's another part of the stamp set that says, "Sheltering you with love at a time that words fall short." I'm going to practice once again on my paper. In fact, I'm going to ink it up this way. I think a little bit more confident if they're to get enough ink on there. And then just stamp that right down right there. There we go. Looks pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Okay. So now I think that my piece is dry here. So I also have a piece of basic white that is just your simple layer 5 1/4 by 4. And now we're going to make this into this background here using this mask. So now my paper is like a Post-it note. It's sticky, but it's not permanent. Well, it is permanent if you lay it there too long, but I can move it like a Post-it note. So with a little bit of Balmy Blue ink and a blending brush, I'm gonna just take, and I have to angle it this way, there we go. Take my cardstock and just go along lightly, and then pull my mask up like this and turn it and angle it a little bit, and then go again down here, just giving a little bit so it looks like the sky in the background, like this. Keep going down. And now this way, with that Post-it on the back, it sticks really nice to your paper, and it'll last forever. If it ever gets to where it's not sticky anymore, all you got to do is add a little more. If it's too sticky, I'm going to move my paper this way so I don't get that same pattern going. But if it gets too sticky, all you got to do is take a little bit of like an alcohol wipe or something. You can wipe that right off. And we're just going to keep going all the way down. Front. Sticky on there, your mask doesn't move. It's just really nice way to make a stencil, like I said, or a mask, whichever you want to call it. We're almost done here. One more time, just to get this corner here, just in case we make the green piece a little shorter, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oop, now it moved. I said it wasn't going to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a once over, and then I think, there I go, I'm happy. And now look how pretty that background of my card is. Okay, so let's bring in the trees here, and I'm going to just do a little bit of cutting to make it look like it wasn't 3 trees that I made into, or 4 trees that I made into 3. Maybe this whole thing here. think I'm going to get rid of all of this right here. I think that looks pretty good. So then to glue this down to my card front, I'm going to just take my silicone mat here again. And he's dirty. Let me clean him real quick with my lint brush or lint roller. A little bit of liquid glue. Before I go on, I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue down here on the trunks. With a sponge dauber, just pick up some of that glue and tap it on to my trees. Now it's okay if they stick up a little bit and have a little bit of like dimension from the card, but I don't want it to fall off my card. That would be embarrassing. So we're going to take it just like that and now lay it right here on my card front. Just a little bit of room here and a little bit of room here, just like Stampin' Up! Did on their card. And now I didn't do that on my card, but when I compared my card to the one in the annual catalog, I liked it a little bit better the way they did it, so that's what I'm sticking with. So then because this sticks off the edge, I'm going to just trim that down a little bit so it fits. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the dauber. Oop, no wait, we got to put our grass on first. Almost forgot our grass line here. So it's going to look like that. So just a little bit of glue. And I'm going to just place a little bit of glue here on my card because this is what we want to cover up, and I don't want glue on my green piece where I don't want it. So I'm going to put it on here. And then lay, and which way do I like? I think I like my grass better this way. Lay my grass right over the top, covering the trunks of those trees. And then I'll just take my paper snips here. First I'll make sure it's straight. There we go, and then just trim off the bottom here. There we go. Now we're ready for our flower. So I have the back, right? The back of my flower here. I'm going to just pounce a little bit of glue on there too. And covered. And lay that. And then the same thing with this one. And look how cute those little flowers are. Okay, let's get rid of all that mess. And then bring our card base in. We're going to lay this whole thing right here flat on our card base. And hit that edge right there of the, there we go. And look how cute that is. Then with just a couple dimensionals on the back of my tag here. Let me see if I can find, this one has a couple. Nope, I'm gonna have to cut the corner here. I almost put it upside down. And then I'm gonna place this right there over my tree. I think it looks good right there. So there you go. Now on this card, I went ahead and took the inside and stamped the same and added that little deer from the, what was that stamp set called? The Nature's Beauty here. And on this one, I think I'm gonna take that little bunny that's in that Nature's a Beauty stamp set and a little bit of crumb cake ink and add him right here. Let me practice once on my paper and place him right down here just to add a little bit of character to the inside of my card. So there you go. That's how I made Stampin' Up! Sample card on page 52 of the annual catalog. There you go. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here on Friday. Have a good day. Oh, and if you need the measurements, you can go to my blog, becreativewithkathy.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.